Okay, 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 okay. Look like we're live. Yep, appears so. Okay, yeah, we are live. Good evening from Guyana to the Caribbean and around the world. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey on the Dr. Matthews-Bey Show, Voice of the Nation. Welcome to all those who are now joining. I am extremely late. It's roughly quarter past 7, but share the live to those who are now joining. Very much appreciate if you share the live. I don't want to miss tonight. Tonight is a very important. Back in the building, we are on fire tonight. My Aboriginal brother. Oh yes, yes, Miss Dave. It's no, sorry. Is it? Is it? Okay. Yes, Dave. We are. I am on fire tonight. Good night, good evening to those who are now joining. Knowledge is power, and when you have knowledge, cometh responsibility, and with great responsibility becometh great power. A pleasant, very pleasant good evening to all those who are now joining. This is Dr. Gavin Matthews Bay on the Dr. Matthews Bay Show, Voice of the Nation, to those who are now joining, and to those who are joining via the online radio on the GMS Live Radio Guyana. A very pleasant good evening to you. Good evening, good evening, good evening to you. To all those who are looking, good evening. Share the live, share the live, share the live. I'll be honest with you. I had about 5 conversations tonight. One of them told me about emojis. I said to them, I don't know much about technology. I am still in the learning process. This is the only thing that I've taken so long to learn: information technology, IT. And I don't know if because I'm not focused on it, I am different. I got the slightest little problem. I called somebody who I know, which is a technician. They come, they fix it, and they just show me what to do, how to get in, just stream in yourself, know how to set up the program, and that's it. It just goes through my head like clockwork. To sit down and find time to get to comprehend more about this StreamYard application that I have, it's I don't know what to say. Be honest with you, just don't know what to say. Hold on. Am I on? Hold on. Am I on? Yes, I know I'm on, but it looks like I. Okay. It looks like I'm live streaming. Yes. I'm trying to find out I got some this thing about this security system that I'm trying to analyze in my head how it's working, but apparently it's working. So I had 3 conversations today, and that's early this morning, as a matter of fact. As I may say today, one of them is between the hours of 7 and 9 this morning, and that was a very long conversation. I think I was a little upset because the person called me that early to get where I'm coming from. And the reason why I got that call, okay, the reason why, hold on, Harriet. Okay, I just don't understand what you mean or comprehend what you mean, Harriet, but I'm trying to. Yes, good night to you, Corinne. Yes, good night to you, Harriet. Okay, good. If you're not getting me, I don't know if it's via the cell phone or the WhatsApp, but I am available whenever you call, right? But it's okay. So let me continue the conversation. So before you let me start this tonight's episode, it is for my Hindustani brothers and sisters. The reason why I say the word Hindustan or Hindustani, because that is your aboriginal, or sorry, that is your indigenous identification. That is your indigenous roots in which you came from when I say Hindustan. So, to my Hindustani brothers and sisters, let me get it straight. The word East came from the East as Eastern Gate. Indian derived from the word indigo. Indigo means, didn't I say black love? So sorry. Black love to you all, to those who are now joining. My apologies. To those who are now joining, black love to you all. And black love is being sold on brands. Black love is being sold on objects and clothing to support and to uplift the Dr. Matthews-Bey show, and to revolutionize the way in which we do things here, the way in which I do things. Sorry. Peace and love to you, my brothers. Islam means I self-law am master. Islam to those who are looking, to my Moorish brothers and sisters who are Moors, Islam to you. To those who doesn't know, good evening to you, peace and love. Okay, and my teaching comes from from a standpoint of teaching you to comprehend who you are. That's what we Moors do. We help you to understand, to identify yourself, and to proclaim your liberty, which is your ancestral lineage, that indigenous part of you, because each and every one of us has some part of indigenous background that the capitalist system took from you. Okay, in which the word which we call what's the word I was once using, the the oh brother, it's at the tip of my tongue. I'm going to remember it. But it is the word that the capitalist system took from you, that democracy, right? To the land in which you be, to the land in which you're from. So I am here to basically teach you constantly, daily, as a matter of fact, on the aspects of who you are and the reason why you need to understand where you are and who you were and where you need to get back to. So tonight I'm going to dig into a little history for my brothers and sisters that came from Hindustan, which is now known as India. But if you check the meaning of the word India and Indian, India, and you put on the end to it, if you check the etymology of the word, it means indigo. And if you check the meaning of the word indigo, means which means dark people. Strange, huh? Good. So that's why last night I was saying it's impossible for you to call a man who take away his indigenous rights from him and name him Amer Indian, means American Indian. That's why last night I was talking about it. And I was saying that is why it is hard, because the courts who are governing the laws and the international law, the laws of Guyana with the international law, knows that the European system name most of the peoples of the world Indian, which means indigo. You may or was an heritage of those that they deem to be indigos, dark people. You know, like uh how should I put it over? How should I put it over? Oh, like how they name the West Indies. West. You had them in East, now it's West. East Indians, West Indies, West Indians. Everything for them, if it's East, West, North, or South, it's an Indian. Because they don't know where to describe where you're from and who you're from. So they will say, no, you're there, or you are an offspring of the indigos. So they attach the word Indian to you. Means indigos. Indigos means people of dark people, or people of a dark race. That's what it means. So when you're kicking up in Guyana, you're saying, but I see East Indians and this one is racist because he's talking bad but Coolie people. Oh, the word Coolie, I want you to comprehend properly. The word Coolie was the name of the trade from Hindustan to this part of the world. It was the name of the trade, the coolie ship, the coolie trade system. Coolie. And some people like to identify themselves like it, they say, "I's a coolie man." But it's the name of the trade. It's that they give you that name to let you know that you were part of a trade system. They brought you in. Yes, as indentured laborers, but that's what you trade. That was it of the trade system. That's the information they put on the on the documents of how they will trade from one place to the next. It was part of it. It was part of the ongoing trade system of bringing indentured laborers to this part of the world. So that trade system was named Kuli, and some of us adopt ourselves. So the reason why, and not only that, the reason why they come about with East Indians, because that was the name of the identification of the package. East Indian. To those who know a little bit of history, you ever heard about the East Indian Trading Company? You were named after them. East Indigo. Indian means indigo. That's the etymology of the word. Means people of a dark race. And were two sets of people were traded to this part of the world that they call Guyana from the Hindustan. Two sets. One of them were from Calcutta, and the other one was from what's this word again? Just something to remember it. Hold on, I think I got it right down here. I got it right down here. Madras. Two places: Calcutta, India, Calcutta, Hindustan, and Madrasa, Hindustan. Those were the places, and those people they considered dark like me. So instead of calling them black man, because remember they came from a different sector of the world, their culture was different, was Hindu or Hinduism. Some of them were were Muslims, as a matter of fact. But they came here as that of an identification. One they call Madras and the other one they call Calcutta. You came here with your identification. Your ethnic background is either Madras or Calcutta, and that's what they say. But they never tell you that. They never said this was the registration because it was hard identifying you. So they say, oh, you all look like one, so we can call you all East Indians. So I'm trying to let those who like who like to hear themselves comprehend which I'm getting at, because this tonight is the historical factors of those they call East Indians, or those people who live in Guyana call themselves East Indians. Giving them a bit of the history. So we're going to start on that topic tonight, and I'm going to read it out so those who are looking can get a bit of understanding. And please, y'all don't abuse me. Please, y'all do not abuse me. It's good to know names, reason why names were given to people, and good to know why they were seeing them as a culture belongs to the people. Hold on. Hold on to those who are looking via this live stream. Okay, good. Okay. Okay, good. So we're going to start. In the wake of the abolition of slavery and under conditions of emancipation, we're talking about history of the Corporation of Guyana. In the wake of the abolition and slavery under the conditions of emancipation, the freed slaves were bound as apprentices to their erstwhile masters for 4 years, following the premature termination of apprenticeship system in 1838. And frustrated by increasing reluctance of their former chattels means that the condition in which they serve slavery, to return to the plantation to work for low wages. They wanted all the slaves to come back who were freed to work for low wages to return to the plantation. The desperate planters sought to avoid ruin by importing bond laborers from several places, including the subcontinent of India, which was under the British rule, then largely under British rule. The arrival of indentured laborers, especially to those from India, again, the word India, Indian, meaning indigo, people of a dark race. Hold on. Yes. The arrival of indentured laborers, especially those from India, enabled the planters to establish sugar as a monoculture or reap profits over the extended period of time while keeping wages low and continuously replenishing the labor supply, which had decreased dramatically after 1838, and especially in the late 1840s. Immigration thus underlies all Admundsek's themes and arguably can be considered the dominant theme in the immediate post-emancipation history of Guyana. Approximately 239,000 immigrants, right? Baratia, that's the word, Bharatias from India were transported in 245 ships, which made 534 voyages across the Kula Panai, which was the Indian Ocean. That was the name for it. The name for the Indian Ocean was Kula Panai. That's before it be. That's before it was named Indian Ocean, right? So British Guyana between 1838 and 1917. During the period of indentureship, for this total 238 were sailing ships which cumulatively made 492 voyages, whilst 11 of them were steamships that made 42. Then we're going to talk about the ships now. It says the coolie ships, charters, and shipping contracts. In the early decades of the Indian immigration, ships were chartered each season as required, either in London or in India. And in London, it was known as the East Indian Shipping Company or Shipping Corporation. East Indian, and we're coming back to the topic. So we're trying to see where they gave you your name, your identification, name after a ship. East Indian. So either the ships were chartered in London or in India. Well, London and India would have been the same thing because then was the British rule that controls India. Anyhow, up to the early 1870s, it remained the rule for shipping to be chartered separately for each shipping season, which commenced towards the end of the calendar year and ended towards the middle of the following calendar year. And only two persons profited from that kind of shipping. 40% from London that profited, and the 60% went to the Church of Rome. Yes, they were in charge of that. They were in charge of shipping indentured laborers from one place to the next. They were in charge of slave shipping also too. Shipping slave from the Americas to the to Europe. That's where that's what they were in charge of. Where they come from, Central America, North America, and South America, they were in charge. They were the persons making profit from these shipping corporations. Then in 1874, as a result of every sh- of as a result of a very sharp increase in rates of freight, the colonies of British Guyana the colonies of British Guyana and Trinidad and the immigration commissioners agreed to try to obtain lower rates by awarding a contract for a term of years for a single shipping firm. And in those days, Trinidad is where all the ships has to come through because they were in charge of the immigration. They couldn't put it on the South American continent, but by then, if they put it on the South American continent, the Dutch would have gotten hold of it, and then the British would have lost their sailing contracts because it would have been another war. So they flow through the Caribbean, they flow through Trinidad because Trinidad was then occupied by who? Same people, same British, and its immigrants or its indigenous people would have been the Caribs because it would have given them permission to do so. Okay, let me uh let me yes, the shipping company in Trinidad was named Sandbach Tini, a company of Liverpool, a firm with commercial connections to British Guyana. Hold on. Were awarded a contract for 3 years from 1875 to 76 and from 1877 to 78, which firm was succeeded by G.D. Tyser and Company, which held British Guyana contract for the following 5 years. And if you know who was G.D. Tyser and Company, I want to talk it hard, but if you know, if you do your research and you find out who was G.D. Tyser and Company, which held British Guyana contract to the following years, sorry, for the following 5 years. Until 1888, the shipping contract was subjected to intense competition between the following three firms: James Nurse of London, Sandbath Time and Company, and G.D. Tyser and Company in 1888. However, James Nurse secured and hold on the contract, which was never afterwards broken. Good. So we're going to give you the statistics and we're going to go to some more history. The coolie ship statistic says the Whitby and the Hesperus, which sailed from Calcutta, these are the ship's names, to launch the Gladstone experiment, both arrived on the 5th of May 1938. The 5th of May 1938. This is why they got 5th of May as arrival day, but really it's supposed to be Indian arrival day. But if it says Indian arrival day, who are you identifying? Because Indian arrival day, the word India, Indian, means indigo. Indigo means people of a dark race or dark people. So the thing is that who are we really addressing? Because if you claim that, yeah, you came from East Asia, really that's the name East Asia instead of East Indian, or you came from East India or India. When you say India, who are you really identifying yourself as? I'm an East Indian Guyanese, but who are you identifying yourself as? Because the word India means indigo. I mean, come on. Let's check it up. Let's check up the etymology of it, right? The Gladstone experiment both arrived on the 5th of May 1838, the first to do so. 7 years were passed before the next ship, and the Lord Hungerford, also out of Calcutta, that's another ship, arrived on the 4th of May 1845. You check it? The first ship from Madras to arrive, the Nestor, which did so on the 26th. Oh, boy. Hold on. Yes. Which did so on the 26th of December 1845. Between 1845 and 1848, the second ship period for Indian immigration to British, 44 voyages, 23 from Madras, 21 from Calcutta, were made by 34 sailing ships, then and 10 of which made 2 voyages each. The Martin Luther, that's another ship, the first ship to arrive twice, and in consecutive sailing season completed separate voyages from Calcutta and Madras in 1846. Good. So we're going to go now to our historical factors now. We did one and we go to the second one. So we came to a comprehension of how they arrived in Guyana, the Hindustanis, as I may say. Because when you say you're East Indian, then you still confirm yourself as a subject to the system in which you registered under as East Indian. That's your given name. And the reason why you give that name because they don't know, remember now, they don't know your religion, they don't know your language, they don't know your culture. So you have to be given a name, an identification. They know the areas that you're from, Madras and Calcutta. But to identify you, they cannot. So they have to give you a name. And what would be the simple name? The simple name that goes around the place. You're coming to the West Indies. You're entering into the South American continent as an East Indian. So belonging to the West Indies, which is the corporation again, coming as an East Indian, which is a corporation again, going to the corporation of Guyana, which is then British Guyana. So that is your identification. So you got like 4 identifications you're coming in, and all the identifications coming under the slave ship of abandonment. So when they bring you with the understanding that you're a representation of what brought you. The East India Trading Company out of the way from India. I mean, London, England, which dominated the seas then. So it brought you here with that contract from the East Indian Trading Company, so you're known as East Indian. You come under that contract of commerce. You traded a stock. It doesn't matter if they give you a little bit wage or money, but the intention at the end of the day that you are a loyal subject of the system. Taking away your identification, it's part of taking away your lands, which is your, you know what, your title. And bringing you on the system that is unidentified by you. So when they say, oh, this is a form, fill it out, please. And the form asking you, please identify yourself. Which ethnic group are you from? Oh, I am Indo-Guyanese. And you know, the thing is that you're mentioning the right thing. You're saying you're identifying yourself as Indo. You just drop the indigo. You put INDO Guyanese, but it's the same thing. Indigo means the dark people. So if you come into London, England, and I'm saying which ethnicity are you, I'm the immigration, and you see Indo Guyanese, I said, oh, beautiful. Look at somebody who doesn't even know who they be. Because you identify yourself as indigo. You go straight to Australia and you find the Aboriginals has the same name. Oh, that's an indigo. You either call Aboriginal or indigo. Because that is the name that most of them use around the world. Oh, you're Indian. Okay, I didn't know that. That's your identification. That's why the common word that they would normally say, if you're not black, if you're not white, you are black. That's the thing. The word white is also a systematic name to give privileges to a people who wants to be called white. But if you call a Caucasian or a Caucasite, you didn't give him any privilege over you. You let him understand who he is because that's his original identification. If you get my point, it's indigenous. That's their indigenous because they came out of the mountains of Caucasus, from the mountains of Caucasus. And I'm going to let you know where they also came from. It's amazing when you find out where the Caucasians came from. Because at that time, they weren't living in Europe then. Ah, bring some good history to you, but we'll continue. Okay, good. So before I go on, I want to make sure that I pay tribute to all the mothers, To all the mothers and ladies, I honor you for bringing us, your sons, into this world. I honor you because the reason why I honor you because nothing cannot be done without the counsel of women. So I'm saying this to you because when you assume your position as lineage to these lands, we got a lot of work to do. To all mothers, to all Aboriginal mothers. When I say Aboriginal, you mean it means that you are the foundation of humanity. Yes, we gave the seeds, but you were the ones that we plant the seed in Mother Earth. You're the one that brought forward all these seeds that we blossom from. We are the fruits of your labor. So I honor you. I want to say this to all mothers, to all prospective mothers, and all young ladies that are coming up. Honor is mine. Peace, love, and gratitude to you. Good. So let me continue. So what I'm saying to you now is that this is international law that we're discussing. Because the only way I can identify you, it is based upon your lineage. Your lineage is law. That's why I give respect to all mothers. Your lineage is law upon the land. It is us to fight, to continue it, to uplift you. Because what you have done has created law upon the land. You make sure people has been born. You make sure culture has been kept. You make sure language has been discovered. And in that language came on a comprehension and writing and understanding. That is law upon the land. That is why they're working so hard to eradicate our history. They're working so hard to get rid of our lineage. That is why I even come to you tonight. I even come to you tonight. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, Miss Garnet. A bliss, good night to you. Yes, bliss and not blessed. Indeed. Bliss. That's a direct word. A bliss, good night to you and not blessed. Blessed means blood sacrifice. And I'm happy to know that we got Moors that are tuning in and listening to this program. Just now we'll have the Grand Sheikh Tariq Bey on the program. I'm working hard to make sure that it becomes a reality so that discussion can happen and we can get more and more edification into who we are and where we came from. Man, the knowledge is so ripe. I will be working so hard to make sure I come on the show tonight. Believe you me. It's sometimes be a journey when I started trying to fix the system to make sure that I come on time at 6:30. But tonight I was planning to say, well, look, check it till tomorrow night. But I know I missed out 2 Thursdays, and I wouldn't want to miss the third one, which is tonight. So so I want to talk about the word pathogen, right? But before I go there, I want to make sure that I want to make sure that we get to comprehend when I mean Pathogena. Pathogena was a name given to what is present day Argentina. And out of Pathogena, it is where the hybrid system came from. The Europeans that they call themselves now, Argentina. Did you now understand why the Falkland Wars were fought between Argentina and England? over the Falkland Islands, check your history. It was the foundation of the Homo sapiens. That's where they came from. It was a major study of races. It's like, how should I put it over? It's like Argentina was the lab in where there was a study of mixing the genetical uh offsprings of the Homo sapiens. That's where they came from. And they were taken into the cold because what happened, you realize, because they had a lesser, because they were a hybrid, they had a lesser form of how you may understand who they are. And they were disease stricken. So there was a mass exodus from that area the in to the to Europe, to the mountains of Caucasus, where they were placed to live. No, they didn't came from space. They didn't came from space. They didn't. They didn't came from space at all. They were what you call, how should I put it over, an experiment. They didn't came from space. But if you want to know where all these Caucasians that you see are flourishing this earth, they're not the majority anyhow. They're less than what, 200 million. All the rest is just Indians, indigos, dark people, swarthy people. So when you got these, um, how should I put it over? When we have these Hindustanis claiming to be East Indian and flourishing themselves, ask them to ask themselves, do you, are you related to the lineage and where you came from, or are you stocks and bonds? Yes, some people might say, well, they know they're in government now when they're running the system. What system? They can't run any system. They're being guided by the democracy, the democracy. They're being guided by the democracy of the British Empire, which is now Britain, Great Britain, or London, England. They're being guided by those people, the Queen of England. They have no say in nothing. When Ali left, and he go over there and he tell the Prime Minister of England that he talk about, but sorry, of slavery and shipping of slavery. No, that was just a gimmick. He had to go meet them, so they had to instruct him what to come and do. It's based upon instructions. They live by instructions. Either the State Department instruct you or the Queen of England instruct you. Which one out of the two? That's how they live. When you study the word indentureship, it's just like slavery. There ain't nothing much to it. It's just different categories of slavery. And one of them we all live by now. Most of us, not me, but we all live by. You got to get up and go to work. How you get money to eat. And when we study what is work, oh my gosh, it's hard that I got to go and do. Yes, you're in the system. You got to live by the system. That is the normalcy of what you call a political system. So Patagonia is what is present day Argentina. That's where all the Anglo-Saxons came from. Their heritage goes back to that particular area of time. That's where they came from. That is why they had a constant flow of ships with the Dutch through Argentina. That's what now you call the Netherlands. That's where the Netherlands originated from. Yes, yes, brothers and sisters. That's where the Netherlands originated from. And then because they had the settlement there, they broke up into pieces. You had the Spanish Anglo Saxons and you had the Dutch Anglo Saxons. And then you had the Portuguese Anglo Saxons. And then all the wars started beginning after they were displaced in different areas. The rise of the Anglo Saxons. And what history did they study? Our history. And plagiarize it into their own understandings. That's where all these things came from. Check your history. There were constant conflict in with the land in which you now call Colombia, where the Arawaks were. Constant conflict, wars, because they were fighting to colonize the entire place. Well, they did. They got through. The different regions got through. Anyhow, so to those who are lodging in at this time, please understand where I'm coming from. You cannot say that you're East Indian and India or Indian means indigo. You cannot identify yourself like that. You're not me. Let us say you want to be the racist who you are. How can you identify yourself as me and still be racist? You get the point? It's like people laughing at you. Well, yeah, it's Kuli man, you're a black man. I'm like, okay, so if you're a Kuli man, this one is a black man. uh, What is your real identification? Well, I see East Indian. Oh, yeah, you're East Indian? It's like those who know the truth asking themselves, do you really understand what the word Indian means? But you're jumping up and down, jumping up and down just to identify yourself as an East Indian. Come on, come into my quarters. Let me give you some historical factors, the truth of who you are, because the truth is law. And they don't want us to know the truth because they know that if we know the truth, we'll overpower them with law. They have to do what we say because they enter into a treaty with us in 1777 of truth, peace, and friendship to work the lands and to pay us royalties of what they have taken from the lands. That was the understanding. So, in order to hide the truth and to be dominant, in order to be dominant, you have to hide the truth. To set two races together, no, to set them apart, you know, bring conflict within them. You got those who claim to be black according to the system, and those who claim to be East Indian according to the system. You're all living in a democracy, a shadow government, a figment of one imagination. It's not real. And we're fighting each other. Ah, it's a black man. Yeah, you're still enslaved to the system. Yeah, it's a Koli man. Yeah, East Indian, but you're still enslaved to the system. Democracy does not give you any power. The transport that you have for the land doesn't even give you any power either because you can be transported. And here is the beautiful thing. All who claim to be a part of the system can be deported off the land. If you take Guyana, the corporation of Guyana, off the land, what would you be left? What would you be you're left with? Nothing. Nothing. You wouldn't be left with nothing. They ain't got nothing for you to claim. So you can't call yourself an indigenous person. How you call yourself an indigenous person? You don't see yourself as black or East Indian. Let's get real. Let's get real. If you still see yourself as black, that means you're enslaved to the system still. Because that's the name the system gives to you to identify you who you are. Because they can't identify you. They can't say, well, you're Aboriginal or what, because there's no identification. Only you have your identification, your lineage. That's why they're trying to erase your past. They're working overtime to erase your past. Overtime. And you think the rat didn't understand that? The rat understand. You see, tell a fellow person like himself, when I had a meeting in Bobby, said he asked you for raise the pay. And the pension man saying getting no raise the pay. How can you be a subject and ask to raise the pay? You're a subject. You gotta wait until when they're ready for get raise the pay. This thing here, sir, got some laugh in it. Law and history goes together. What is history is law. What is law is history. My history is law. That's why they don't want us to go back to our history because they know it's law. The English language that they created is to enslave us because if I spoke my language and I understood my culture, it becomes law. It becomes law. Like a guy tell me, oh, you see, they get $200 million out to the sovereign wealth fund. They didn't get $200 million to the sovereign wealth fund. That money was made to be given since the Granger government time. Yes, the first sets of money was supposed to be withdrawn, and that was an understanding between both parties. The APNU was the executive party, the governing party, and the PVP then was the opposition party. They agreed to take out $200 million, the first amount of money, and that's what's coming out. They can't take out nothing more else. The flag of Guyana is the flag of Amoti, and commerce. That's what it is. I want those who are looking, check up these two words, Amoti and commerce. The flag of Guyana. That's what it means. Amity and commerce. It's a flag to the ship. It's a flagship to Guyana. Because years ago, when we didn't have British and Dutch and French Guyana, they thought it was the entire continent. Because that was the name they gave it. Guyana. A place to the Indians. And all the Indians says, no, no, no. The Arawaks and all them said, no, don't call me no Indian. I ain't no Indian. Can't give to me a color. They all of their commerce and all of their systems is based upon color. It's based upon color. It's based upon identification of a color and a hallucination of a color. That's what it's based upon. Giving you a color and a name. Each name goes with a color. Like if I say Passad, Passad goes with Indian or East Indian. Yeah. If I say Francois, it goes with Portuguese. Of course. Yes, sir. If I say Gavin Matthews, it goes with England or European. Because Gavin Matthews is a European name. And most black people who wants to identify themselves as black, given that name. So your color goes with a name. And this goes with the identification. You want to always make the world laugh and a man look like me, call himself, his name is White. Mr. White, how are you? And the man like, what? You're white? Seriously, it might sound like laugh, but it is. Imagine we're living on that slave ship. We are slave to this nonsense, and we want to hold on to it because it brings you milk and honey. Which milk and honey? The poisoning you, the killing you out. Which milk and honey you talking about? Oh, you talking about the milk? Did you know that at the age of 6 months you're supposed to stop drinking milk? If most of the people who drink milk as adults, it's an additive to the bacteria in your system. It makes you sick quickly. A lot of we don't know that. When we go, we hear the doctor said, "Oh, you're lactose intolerance." We get vexed. 'Cause I think it's not a sickness. You're not supposed to drink milk. And what honey are you talking about? We got to get the drift. We want to talk about the last Mohobite queen that lived in the Americas, that ruled Central and North America and some parts of South America. The last Mohobite queen, Queen Khalifa. We need to constantly teach these things because these things is what exists. Our own story. You gotta forget about his story and think about our own story. What happened in these parts of the world? You ever ask yourself, Brazil, one of the country that has the largest population of people of Aboriginal descent, largest population that lives outside of Africa, one of the largest population. Do you know they have direct flights from Brazil to Africa? A lot of us don't know that Angola, South Africa, Mozambique, not Sierra Leone, Libya. No, not Libya, not Libya. The Ivory Coast. That was the trade all the time before even slavery started. They came through Colombia to Brazil, and all the warriors stay in Colombia to defend the ports. That is why the Arawaks, when they came out of the hills of Colombia, they came out so strong. That's why when the Portuguese, no, sorry, when the Dutch came, the Dutch realized, well, look, these are militant people. We got to make right with them. We got to sign contracts and make sure that they're okay because it doesn't matter who we come with all the guns and everything else, they still come in. And just to make you sure, the Europeans didn't, well, they weren't the first makers of firearms and weapons and gunpowder. It was the Africans. Those they call themselves the Arabs at that particular period of time and juncture. I want to say this to you. Our story or our history is in plain sight. Us, the Aboriginal peoples who are now identified as Moors, like myself, Moorish American, we bring to you the truth constantly. I cannot bring to you a lie. I cannot make you uncomfortable. I have to show love. I have to show patience. And I have to show willing to wake up my people who are still asleep. It's a must. I cannot call myself a Moor if I don't do these things. It's a must. There is no rule to say that I must do it. It must be the will of myself, me, to do it, to identify who am I. I'm willing to wake a people up, to bring them to the fold, to proclaim who they are as Moorish Americans. As I say again, I keep saying, The number is 592-611-6575. If you if you're interested in all this information that I have to give to you, call the number. If you're interested in purchasing the Black Love brand, call the number. I'll be able to sell it to you on a piece of cloth or instruments that can able to support the cause in which I do. And I'll be able always be able to assist in edifying you in any way means necessary enough for you to be awoken to the truth. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey saying thank you for those who have been here with me tonight through this 1 hour process. And I would very much appreciate to see you tomorrow night again at the next live feed. I want to say to you, stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. This is Dr. Matthews-Bey saying cheerios and good night for now.